So today I want to put on a handful of trades because I really don't have much on the future side. We've been trading around this. I mean, this market has been amazing.
Market.
There is. I mean, yesterday's move. Did you happen to get?
I saw a few. I mean, I was traveling and stuff, but it's. What's may you live in interesting times? Is that the proverb?
Yes.
Like
It is certainly interesting
holy
times.
cow, right?
Yeah, this is about as good.
Hopefully, it's been treating you guys all right.
Yeah, we've been having fun with it. But I think with volatility this high, I think we can put on a couple positions. Maybe start with like an ES,
sure,
big wide iron Condor.
Sure.
So ES $50 a point.
Yeah,
Get it the span margin. Very, I mean, capital efficient way to trade.
I'm glad Tony brought up single stocks. I'm glad you're bringing up ES options because I go to a lot of industry events and things like that with retail traders, individual traders, and I'm always surprised at people who might be trading SPX or spider options have no idea that they can get similar exposure using options on futures like the ES options, or maybe they're trading QQQ options and they don't realize that NQ options exist. So I think it's great, Nick, that you're bringing this up because it's an awareness thing. I think in a lot of cases people just don't know that they're out there, and like you just said, they're span margins. So a lot of times if you're selling premium, which I think a lot of tasty traders do,
got high IV rank,
you get sort of advantageous margin versus some of the securities in some cases. So yeah, I'm glad.
And a smaller product than say SPX.
Half the size.
Yeah, half the size. So if you're looking to do something that maybe takes too much buying power in SPX, you go to /ES, you get the same exact. Not same exact bang for your buck, but it's the same product.
It's the S&P 500, right? And we have expiration. We have options expire every day of the week, Monday through Friday. So just like the one thing I will say is they are deliverable, right? So where the SPX is going to settle to cash, if you're in the money at the end of the day, you will wind up with a future if you're in the money. And
that's why you see a bid ask up on top of the screen, and you see volume. If you go to just to compare the two, you go to SPX, you'll see a bid ask, but you'll see no volume. There's no trading there. It's a good way to realize that something is deliverable.
Yeah. And Nick, I interrupted you, but you were saying 50, it's the multiplier on these options is 50. So, and that's one of the other things that people have to get used to if they're used to trading options on securities where, it's 100 shares. So instinctively, if you've been trading a lot, like multiply this by 100 and that's your dollars. Like it's instinctive. With futures options, you do have to get used to that multiplier. In this case, it's 50, right? So instead
I think that's the biggest surprise when somebody trades one of these futures for the first time, futures options for the first time. They'll see 100 and think they're getting $1,000, and you're not. You're getting $500.
Exactly.
So it looks so good, so big to be true with the amount of buying power you're using. Yeah. So what are we looking to do? So sorry.
I was thinking just like 100-point wide iron Condor. We go out to. I was looking at the April 30th, which is the end of the month contract. Do you find that most like liquidity is kind of centered around those end of the month type?
It's kind of throughout the curve now, right? So we've all heard, and I know this isn't necessarily the tasty trade philosophy, the zero DTE phenomenon, right?
Sure.
And and I'm sure you have traders that are trading.
We go over it every Thursday. We do 0 day,
So certainly, some of the growth that we've seen in options from the retail segment has been in zero DTs, but we've also seen, and I think it's a testament to like what you guys teach. We've seen growth in like those 40 to, what you guys talk about a lot, like put it on and then manage it and stuff like that, which I love to see, right? Because I think that's a very responsible way to trade options.
And all these are there's not a liquidity issue. I mean, across the curve, they all are, a couple ticks wide at most. So it really doesn't, the advantage that you have with something like the ES options is, and the fact that they have basically daily options here, is you can pick whatever expiration you want. You want to go to 31 days, you want to go 34, 35, 38. They're all pretty liquid. They're all kind of in the same realm.
And they are there's 4 options throughout the year that are American style, but everything else is European style, so you don't have that exercise risk. We do have it's kind of a legacy thing, I guess, because back in the day, we only had 4 expirations a year, right? The March, June, Sep, and Ds. So we actually have 2 options that expire on those 4 Fridays. We have the legacy quarterly, which goes off in the morning, actually, and is American style. And then the European, that's kind of the daily, like most of the options are. So, again, these are just things you kind of got to know, but small things.
You'll see those. So on the platform, they'll be labeled with this AM.
That's great.
Indicator.
So everyone, so you know it.
So we get this question every once in a while of like, why are there 2 expirations here? Like these are both, June 18th. There's one
not the most intuitive thing in the world.
So the AM options, the last day to trade those are the Thursday prior. So they settle in the morning,
right?
Based on those,
right? So there's essentially almost a whole day of premium in the other option, the European option that goes off on that.
Yeah,
night.
You'll see it expire, but it'll still have premium because it's not settled yet.
So, but these are just things you just got to know, and it's not rocket science, right? Just a couple of nuances with these. But yeah, you were gonna look at something, Nick?
Yeah. So here's what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at 51 days out, 100-point wide spread, which is about $5,000 in total max value, right? So you have, I'm looking at it about $40
in credit.
$40 in credit here. You'll see your max profit,
which is $2,000.
$2,000. That's
$2,000 again because of the 50.
And you get this extra margin relief. So the buying power on this spread is going to be about $2,300, whereas your actual max loss is going to be $3,000 on this trade because $5,000 is to the total value at 100 points wide. And if you're selling this at 40 ticks, it's going to be a $2,000 credit.
And you're really just selling a call spread and a put spread, right? That's what an iron condor is. And and I think it's another great example because I actually do a presentation sometimes called An Option is an Option. And my whole point is all of the stuff from securities options, your Greeks and vols and strategies, they all work the same way here. So like an iron condor in this is going to work the same way as an iron condor in a spider, an SPX option.
Yep. Same thing. We just got filled. So I'm short the 7,100, 7,200 call spread. And then on the put side, the 6,300, 6,200, it's basically a delta neutral. You're selling around the 20 delta for the short options. You're further out of the money because there is skew to the downside. So you get a little bit further out of the money there. We talked about skew this morning.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect kind of example of that. So short volatility, kind of neutral on price here for the next 51 days.
And I think we've talked about it on this show. When did Skew get introduced to the options market, Tony?
Oof. Options on futures?
No, the options. When did Skew happen?
Oh, Skew didn't happen until the 87 crash. Before that, everything was $10 out of the money. If the call was $4, the put was $4.
It's not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
I mean, it's a long time.
It's a long time,
but not that.
Not in dog years, it's not a long time. But in trader years, it's a long time.
Just a little piece of trivia I've always liked.
Yeah, 1987. And that's when all the margining changed too on your positions too. They looked at upside and downside completely different.
Yeah.
I also wanted to do the gold silver ratio. I actually looked it up because you have the new SIC contract, which the SIC contract, the silver.
As the kids say.
As the kids say, one of us. MGC, you can do 1 to 8 on the 1 MGC to 8 SIC is roughly.
Well, what about the 1 ounce gold then, if you want to do that? Because you've got the 1 ounce gold, which is going to give you a more similar ratio there, right?
So you can do that 1 to 1 basically.
Almost 1 to 1 to 1 because silver's more volatile. So I mean that's kind of where the trade. That's where the trade comes in, right? But
sure.
But yeah, that's probably a better. If you want to spread those two.
So the 1 ounce contract is you got about 40,000 contracts traded just today in the 1 ounce contract. So it's pretty liquid.
It's fairly new, not as new as the SIC.
Yes.
But it's really developed quickly, especially with the moves that we've had in metals, in the last months.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that 1 to 1. So I'm gonna buy the 1 ounce gold contract. I'm going to sell,
Which you got filled on.
which I got filled on, the SIC contract. We'll do that 1-to-1 on here. Let's see if we get filled here.
Why not?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, so that'll give us our gold silver ratio. You got that ratio at what, 58 right now?
Mm-hmm.
And the metals were moving again this morning, right?
Yeah, you got silver up about 5.3%, and gold's up a little over 2.25. So pretty big move in metals here. We bought the dip a little bit yesterday too.
And you do that 1-to-1.
I did that 1-to-1, and we can look at the MGC SIL too a little later. But I also wanted to talk about, so with span margining, you can be pretty flexible with positions. So I was thinking of getting long the MNQ contracts. So we'll look at the micro NASDAQ contracts, which is 1/10 the size of the NASDAQ contract, which is a big contract. But we can sell a call spread in the NASDAQ futures and do this as a sort of pairs trade. It'll be slightly weighted towards the call spread because at the start it'll be a bigger.
Sell the call spread in the NASDAQ options.
And then buy
long the future. So it's essentially like a covered call that you spread off a little bit.
That's what I'm thinking.
I love it. Like, you know, and that micro NASDAQ, that's a futures contract worth, let's say about $50,000, right? Because the multiplier on that's 2.
Yeah.
So 1 is going to be about $50,000 worth of exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and again, like I love the example because once again, it shows you that you know, a covered call, or in this case, a call spread, is going to work the same way in these options, you know, paired with a future as it would, you know, in the security side.
So if we do like maybe a 200 point wide call spread. So what I was thinking was from a delta perspective. So if you're doing about, so at 1/10 the size, if you have one micro NASDAQ contract, it's going to be roughly 10 deltas to a NASDAQ.
You got about 90 deltas in SPY, is what it comes.
No, an MNQ.
Oh, an MNQ.
MNQ, 1/10 the size. So if you had one micro NASDAQ and you had a 10 delta short call spread in the NASDAQ futures, you'd be basically delta neutral-ish. Neutral-ish.
It's a great example because it shows you how you can use that micro future combined with the mini options because of the delta. And, you know, in other words, if you had 100 delta option on, like that would be 10 times the size of your future because you're doing the regular size option with the micro future. But in this case, you're going, I love the example.
And so if you're doing sort of a covered futures position, we could do 2 of the micro NASDAQs. I bet you about 20-ish delta.
That's correct.
If you were trying to reduce that by selling like a 25 delta call, you could sell about 4 or 5 deltas in the NASDAQ futures. That nets you about 15 NASDAQ delta
at this time
on that position total,
Mm-hmm.
which will be about, you know, like if you were thinking in like stock terms, it'd be like a 70 delta.
That's correct. That's correct.
Position.
That's correct.
All right, so we're going to do that.
You did the math right.
So we'll do the 26,500, 26,700. It trades at about 1/3 the width of the strikes. It's $1,000 in credit versus about $3,000 in potential loss on that spread. So it's about 25% of the width. But it nets out to be about, you know, I'm selling like a 23 delta call and then buying the 19 delta. So it gets me that 4 delta, basically reduces it by like 20% on the long position. So I'm short, it gives me a short vol component to a long NASDAQ position. So we're going to try and get in that one. And we'll do that like 50 days out.
You can put a time component onto the pure future,
onto the futures position,
a decay component onto it too. You get a little positive theta,
which we like to have. On our trades.
Very good. Let's see where we get filled. All right, I'm in at 54.50. So I got 2 of the micro NASDAQ long contracts against a 200 point wide call spread in the NASDAQ futures. And those will be span margined against each other.
Exactly.
So
right.
You get that leverage.
Exactly. Yep.
Very nice. Put on the follow page. Good job
Yes.
out of you.